All right, I am here with my upcoming 2024 Warframe tier list. Um, I went objectively on this. I have a lot of favorite frames that I use that aren't graded like this. So I try to do my list on their base kits, no helmet abilities. Augments are fine, but just pure base kit. For the most part, Warframes frames are pretty good, like in general. Um, I'll go through top to bottom. Well, I'll do top and then very bottom, and then I'll cover some of the ones in the middle. So my op frames, the ones that are broken to the point where you can just do every single content, no issues whatsoever. Um, First and foremost, you'd have to say Octavia. Without any mods, you can just lay down your 4 and your 1 and go invisible and go to level cap. Sure, it'll take a long time without any mods, but you can definitely do that. That means she's broken. There's nothing else to say about that. Saren with the new emerald shards, she just needs 2 to plus 4 corrosive stacks, and she is now well, she was up before, but she now has the one thing that was lacking, and that is full armor strip on her corrosive procs. It's gross, especially with the new melee influence arcane. I know you guys have seen a lot of those videos from other YouTubers. It's gross, the damage that she does. Revenant is on there, only because he's like the old Wukong, right? You just hit his 2 and do whatever content you want to. Just look out for nullifier bubbles. That's pretty much it. There's really not much to say. I mean, he's the only frame in the game um, that you can just face tank everything based on your mesmer stacks. The only single thing that he he has issues with is the new um, fragmented 160 eyes boss because it'll knock all of your abilities out. But other than that, I mean, there's really not much to say. I mean, his 1 with 3 and viral stacks can take out nearly everything with one shot. So, and Gauss is on there because, in my opinion, he has the most perfect kit in Warframe. Every single ability synergizes with with each other, and yeah, like it's probably the best to me. This is just my opinion, but he is the best designed Warframe in the game, and until DE does another frame like that, he will probably stay. He will probably stay like that. His 3 fully strips armor. Everyone uses his 3 for a low level to middle level, just room clearing. His 4 grants you buffs on base strength. That's crazy, right? His 2 can regenerate energy for you on top of making you status. I mean, you don't even need Prime Surefooted with him. His 1 with his augment is crazy as a grouping tool. Yeah, there's not much to say about that. So those are my 4 S frames. Um, Mag was on there for a second when I was doing this, but then I dropped her down to A. because you actually need to know how to play the game to use mag. But if you know how to play the game, she can definitely be S, right? Like people who use mag know what I'm talking about. And I'll go straight to the bottom. I only have two that need a rework, like a full rework. That's Inaros and Valkyr. Uh, as it stands right now, going into 2024, Inaros desperately needs something, either a health gate mechanic as a passive, um, maybe some slight overguard, nothing crazy, but he just needs something because he get at a certain point in the game he will get one shotted, and you can't do anything about that. So yeah, I mean he's fine, just health tanking up to a certain point, but the way DE is going, they are making content harder and harder, and he just falls off more and more and more. Valkyr, I feel her kit is just. I had her in D, right? I had her just outclass because I used to use Valkyr a lot, um, so I have a bias towards using her. But I think at this point she needs a rework. Um, or at the very least, DE, just let us use Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds on Exalted melee. Like it won't make them up. It won't make Excalibur up. It won't make her up. Garuda. It won't. So I don't know. Or Baruch. Well, maybe it might put him into S if you do that. But yeah, let us use those on Exalted Melee. I don't know why they're afraid to do that, and they give us so much more overpowered nonsense. It's crazy. Uh, we can go to serviceable. I play Lavos a lot, so it was hard for me to drop him down all the way down to C because me personally, I think he's an A frame, but his his main issue, I think that DE needs to reconsider is if you select elements for him, let them stay whenever you cast an ability. Just let them stay on there. So say you combine to get viral, let it stay on there until you combine to make something else. That would easily push him to high B to me or low A because as of right now, a lot of people just use him for rail check, and even that's outclassed with Styanax. If you Helmand Nourish with him, he's actually faster. He's actually faster to do the content. So no one is using Lavos right now. I hardly queue with anyone that I see that use Lavos. It's sad because I think he's a well-designed Warframe. He doesn't need energy, which in and of itself kind of sucks because DE is pushing a lot of these new mechanics to gain energy, and he benefits nothing from it. Like the Grimoire, for example. Um, that mod, what Zata, right? Invocation, it or whatever the one is that regenerates energy. What it should do for him is give him a cooldown, like more cooldown, like on hits. That's what they should be doing with all of these energy things like energy nexus gives you 3 energy gain per second now. It should give him a faster cooldown when you install it on him. That would be good. Just saying. Vauban as well. I was debating a lot if to put him at B or C. I dropped him down to C because his 3 isn't that great. Um, his 2 falls off, even though it scales with energy, with the enemies. And his 4 is fine. His 4 is fine. You know, 1 can be better. I mean, they do some interesting things with the augment though. But as as a CC type frame, he just doesn't do it as well as others. Say for example Zephyr. Um, so I have her in B right now. Uh, I use her quite a bit as well. So I was debating whether or not to just bump her up to A because of how great her 4 is when it comes to damage. Um, but the rework was nice. You can stay in the air if you want with your 1 and get some more crit. You could helmet that off as well if you need something else to boost your damage or survivability. But she survives pretty well just with her 3. And her grouping is really good too. So I don't know. I might come back to her later on in the year and bump her up to A. But I'll keep her in B for now. Dagath and Qorvex I've played. Well, Qorvex I've played more. Dagath maybe I've only played her about 5-6 hours tops. But from what I did play with her, I think she's a good B Warframe. Um, DE DE made her pretty well. I mean, I didn't have any issues playing with her. Her armor strip is good. DPS is good. Qorvex though, he's kind of wonky. Yeah, he has good survivability up to a point. Um, Little known fact, the way that you do your percentages on armor and health is weird. So you shouldn't be outweighing your armor versus your health. I know Arcane Blessing exists to boost his health more, but uh, I think he needs a armor strip. His 2 would have been fantastic with that. Give it 50% on base, scale it with strength. That would solve most of his issues actually. Instead of it being just a lineup group tool for his 4, and his 3 is really good. That way you could build without Prime Sure-footed and help your squad mates as well. Uh, I still think DE will play around with him some more after they come back from break. So expect him to go up to B. If they do tweak him to where he might get an armor strip, he might go into A. So we'll see. I kept him at C just, as a baseline because he's so brand new and he hasn't gone through. Same with Dagath too. Like they haven't gone. I don't think they've finished with hotfixing both of them. Um, we could touch on some A frames. Baruch, of course. There's really not much to say about him. He's super great at everything. He can face tank all the content in the game. His 4 can DPS like crazy. He has a free slot with 1 that you can helmet. But his 1 is pretty good, but it's very anti synergistic with the rest of his kit, where like you want to attack. So keeping it on just to walk around and not get hit is kind of weird. Ember, for the most part, I think she's an A-frame. I know a lot of YouTubers who are going to make this list. Some that have already made the list have her lower, and I don't understand why. Maybe because they don't know how to play Ember. Her 1 is fantastic DPS if you know how to use it with her augment. Her 2 keeps you surviving. You just need to manage it. I mean, you're already playing, just manage it with her 3, which, by the way, can full strip armor, and her 4 is amazing to regenerate your energy with the augment. So all those together make her a fantastic Warframe. You know, um, I I don't see why other content creators have dropped her so low. Frost is also an A, right? With all of his changes and augments, he can strip armor and gain CC and crit damage with that augment. There's not much to say about him now. Um, he can wipe the room easily, and he can keep your whole party alive. You could just drop down a globe if you want to. I know a lot of players don't like to see the globe, but if you're in super high level content, that will keep you alive. Garuda, there's not much to say about her. You know, she can regenerate energy. Um, very high survivability. Her 2 does some shenanigans uh, by hitting that character, the character that it's on. Her 4 is amazing. Her 1 is an amazing nuke tool that a lot of people don't even use. It's crazy. Her talons are pretty good. I wanted to put her in S actually, you know. And maybe next year I might, depending how the content goes, because she's just overall great. The only hindrance is her 2, basically, that it's a stationary target, and a lot of people just helmet it off. They either put nourish or gloom, you know, or use mold reconstruct with her. But overall, she is a very solid frame. Same with Hildren, you know, don't really need to cover what she can do. You know, full strip armor, shield gate like crazy, regenerate energy for your team. You know, meta frame for Orphix runs. Just just have max range on her and drop her down before, so you could just regenerate orbs for your whole team. Yeah, and then her 1 is pretty good too if you mod it correctly. The damage output is crazy. Hydroid is now up to A with the recent rework that he got. Pablo did a great job with him. His whole kit now is just fantastic. His 1 with the augment spreads corrosive and viral, and he loves corrosive. He has that great passive now where corrosive acts like the old corrosive. So any corrosive weapon can fully strip armor with him, um, which is great. Especially beam weapons. I'm seeing a lot of videos with people using OcuCore and Vermin Splicer just going crazy. You know, Cora, of course, she's probably the best farming tool in the game. Either her or Necros, but she's probably better. Just just for pure kills for a second. She can survive well, and she's meta for a lot of stuff. So, and we'll see how the year goes with stat sticks. She might drop if people use her 1 as a DPS tool. Um, but you could just use Zorus with her. That's fine. Zorus will clear everything in your Strangle Dome. Um, Mesa, you know, we we use her just as an aimbot, but she's very good. She's very tanky. Her 2 can crowd control very well. Her 1 does some crazy shenanigans on some setups. So I'm not going to cover them, You can search those out for yourself. Uh, I don't wanna talk about anything broken, basically. And her four is very good. It falls off a lot in very high level content, but you can go pretty far with it. I haven't tested her with emerald shards and made a corrosive build. I'm pretty sure it's crazy. So I might do that this week and see how that goes. Neja, of course, he's very solid. He's objectively the slightly better version of Rhino. You know, um, his and you get him basically for nothing. Just join a clan, and you can get him very easily in the game. Um, Nidus is also very solid. Um, he can survive well. His whole kit synergizes with itself, and if you and he's pretty mobile too. I mean, you don't need to use his three. Yeah, when it's getting rough, then you link with an enemy. But he's pretty good survival. The only other frame in my A list that I should bump up to S, but it's holding her back because of her four. Well, I guess I could say that for two of them, Wisp and Protea. Both of them, their four isn't the greatest. You know, Protea's four is serviceable. You know, just to get her out of some tricky situations. But I mean, it could be better. And Wisp 4's damage doesn't do much. I mean, with the new faction, it does pretty good, but that could also be better. I think 4 ultimates shouldn't be like a base damage. It should be a base percentage on enemies' health. I think that would solve a lot of frames issues with their DPS output. Um, One thing to know, I kept Oberon in C. That might hurt a lot of people's feelings, but I think he's due for some upgrades. Wisp just does everything better than him, you know. So Pablo might need to, just tweak him a little bit just to bring him up to 2024 standards. Right now he's stuck in like 2019, 2020 standards. Um, so he needs a bit of help, just a bit of help, just to bring him up a little bit. Excalibur has to stay in C. I don't think he's good enough for a B frame, but like I said earlier, you give him Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds, and he will go up there. You know, his kit now is pretty good. Slash Dash is good. Javelin is pretty good with the augment to get some great damage. His crowd control is good, but he's just he's the face of Warframe, so I think he's a very middle ground, which is crazy because Mag and Volt, the other two starters, I have them in A because they the Volt is meta for Eidolons, so he stays in A until that changes. But when he got his slight tweaks with his shield, it made him more survivable. Um, so I don't think he's going to drop. If anything, he'll probably stay because I don't think DE wants to mess with any meta stuff concerning Eidolons, which they should. I think personally they should have Gara's glass wall increase amp damage or something, just because of her lore, or Revenant. Something. They should do something where another frame or two boosts amp damage, because I'm just tired. I'm so tired of doing Eidolon hunts, and I've done a lot of them. Not crazy, but I think it's over 2,000 now. But, I'm tired of the same vault runs. You get real tired of it. The only spiciness I get is using stupid weapons to break the limbs faster. It's so dumb now. Necros, I have him in B. I was gonna put him in A because I like using Necros quite a bit. But he'll stay in B. Same with Rhino. That one hurt to put in B because I've had him in A for a long time. But and, and the thing with Rhino and his Overguard now is that he's a little bit more survivable if you think about it than old Iron Skin. But I don't see him. I don't know. That's an iffy one. It's like he's like a 89%. He's on the verge of A for me. That's the most I can say about it. Like that's just my opinion. For a lot of people, he's an A. His four is amazing crowd control. His roar is the best damage ability in the game. It goes on tons of people's frames. Even with the diminished returns, and he gets full roar. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe later. I haven't played him in some months, so maybe I'm biased down instead of up. I have Atlas in B. I know a lot of people have him lower than that, but I think he's great. He has a fake prime sure-footed. Just stay on the floor. You don't have to jump around crazy. You can roll around if you want. And a lot of enemies don't really hit you out of the air, so you could also jump up, void dash around if you want, and come back down, which is great. His one scales very well, but then again, he's one of those frames too that you need a stat stick. So his grading will change later on this year when when DE reworks that mechanic. Um, but he's in B because his little wall that he puts up is useless. I don't see a need for it. So you have one ability that's just that's that's pretty bad. So if you have one ability that's bad, you're down to B tier for me. uh, Trinity, that's another hard one. I use her quite a bit too with the baiting link, but I don't. I can't put her in A for some reason, even though the buffs that she gives to your team. Whenever I see a Trinity player in my squad, I feel so relieved, that I'm getting blessed every 20 seconds or so. And for the most part, free energy whenever they use their two. Um, but Wisp does a lot of things better. And now, with a lot of people just having Nourish on their builds and all of the energy options that you have, the only thing going for her is her four. Um, And yeah, it's good, but you have to stay in affinity range. Kind of sucks when more and more of these tile sets want you to explore to get, other resources. So I'll keep her in B for now. Zephyr was almost A. Grendel still needs a little push to get into A. His rework was really good though. I use him more now. Gyre could be S tier if she had armor strip. She's S tier with pillage on her one or two. Put it like that. That way I don't make anyone mad. She is S tier with pillage on one or two. I use pillage on her one. Two is a fine gripping ability, and yeah, she just goes crazy. You just zap people to death. It's insane. um, so yeah, that is my 2024 list. I didn't cover every single frame, but you know, like Sevagoth, we'll just say his name, Sevagoth. I was about to put him on needs rework as well, but I'm just mad that he needs so much forma. Like, come on, D. Bad idea to milk forma on a frame. You know, it's just no. I'm not putting any resources into him. Not happening. Those free frames that you gave this month, I just threw them away. Don't even need them. Just give me the slot. Just threw them away. Yareli is okay after all of her touch ups and reworked stuff, but she's still meh. Nobody likes using K drives, especially on the tile sets. Some of these older tile sets, it's horrible to navigate through, and I know DE knows this. Um, but yeah, if you like zooming around with her on Marilena, then go for it. And yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I didn't touch on Varuna, but after all of her tweaks and hotfixes, she's very solid now. Yeah, she's very solid. Um, I like playing her. It's just a fun frame. Four passives. It's great. You know, Calervo too. They did a great job with him. Um, the only reason I don't have him A is that he just has a specific way that you have to use him. So when you're pigeonholed into something that, yeah, I mean, even if it's very, 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 very good, you're still gonna stay solid, not very solid. Sorry to say, but yeah, leave a comment if you want to. You don't have to. Whoever watches this is just my tire list for 2024. Maybe I will put out another video in 3-4 months and change anything if we get some hot fixes for some of these frames. But for now, this is what it is. So thanks for watching.